more.
Question number 5, Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Social Development and asks, does she believe she delivered on the statement that, quote, robust procedures would gather and protect the information, unquote, when referring to her ministry's individual client-level data collection policy?
Mr. Speaker,
Anne Tolley.
yes, as I said yesterday, it's absolutely vital that clients and providers have confidence that their information is being protected, which is why yesterday, after I was made aware of a technical issue with the portal system, I directed that a new IT solution be developed for the collection of that individual client-level data. And as I said in the House yesterday, I have also directed that this new system will be independently assessed and would welcome the Privacy Commissioner's input as well. I have also asked that the Government's Chief Information Officer be involved in this.
Supplementary, Mr.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
When the Minister told this House, quote, of course we're working closely with the Privacy Commissioner to ensure that clients' privacy rights are protected, unquote, can she tell this House if he was briefed on significant changes to the policy after first being consulted in June?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have that information. What I can have assured the House on a number of occasions is that I understood that MSD was working closely with the Office of the Privacy Commissioner. The details of that I leave to the MSD people to work through themselves. But in my conversations with the Privacy Commissioner, we have traversed all the areas that he covered in his report, and 3 of the 4 recommendations I agree with him and have put things into action to implement his recommendations.
Supplementary, Mr.
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, Jan Logie.
Did the Minister check the Privacy Commissioner's view on such changes as collecting identifiable data for sharing and matching with other agencies instead of the initial proposal to use anonymised data for research purposes?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I can't answer that question as to whether MSD was talking to the Privacy Commissioner about that particular issue. I know that I have been talking to providers about that process, the change in processes for almost 2 years.
Speaker.
Supplementary question?
No, point of order.
Point of order.
If you'd listened to my question, you would have heard I asked if the Minister checked, and her answer was she can't say whether the Ministry spoke with the Privacy Commissioner.
No, the question was addressed. The Minister saying effectively she didn't speak and she's not sure whether the Ministry had. That's addressed the question.
Supplementary, Mr.
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, Jan Logie.
Does she think it's acceptable to have gone ahead with this policy without having completed a privacy impact assessment when the Privacy Commissioner has said he expected it to have happened before they went ahead?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Privacy Commissioner.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
On what date did the Minister see the first draft from the Privacy Commissioner, which her ministry received on the 9th of March?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. It's in the Hansard from yesterday, when I received a letter from the Privacy Commissioner. I think it was March the 10th. With his initial findings, and then I met with him several days later to talk through those findings. And as I say, of his 4 recommendations, I don't agree with his first recommendation about using Statistics New Zealand and anonymised data, because whilst that might give us the the progress that is being made by NGOs, it doesn't give us the coverage. So we don't know that everyone that needs the services are actually getting that service. But certainly his other recommendations, following that meeting, I did discuss with MSD working up an exemptions regime, as he's recommended in recommendation 2. I think recommendation 3, I have made sure that MSD has been very clear what the data is needed for, and that it won't be used to be matched with any other work and income type information. And recommendation 4, I absolutely agree, which is why I shut the portal down yesterday.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
If the Minister read in the draft report or knew that MSD was collecting individual client data via spreadsheets, which the Privacy Commissioner says, quote, lack inbuilt security protection and have been associated with significant data breaches, unquote, why didn't she put a stop to the collection of data rather than waiting for this week's breach to happen?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Well, Mr Speaker, the member is assuming that I was aware of that level of detail. I have asked the Chief Executive of MSD to provide me with a detailed report of what happened and how this process was developed, because I did not, as a minister, have operational oversight of it. But I agree with the Privacy Commissioner that is not the correct way to develop a system like this. And as I've just said to the media, I'm furious and disappointed that the agency seems to have taken shortcuts.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Jan Logie.
How can the public trust the Minister to protect their privacy when she's been completely missing in action on core protections of privacy in terms of ensuring that the database system was able to protect their privacy, ensuring that an assessment was done in the first place, and even finding out if the Privacy Commissioner had been consulted on massive changes?
The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr Speaker, the public can have confidence because I shut the portal down. Immediately I became aware that it was not secure, and I have said we will not upload any data until not only myself but the Privacy Commissioner and the Government Information Officer are content that it is a secure system. It is absolutely critical that it is secure and that people's privacy is respected.
Question number 6, Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr.